The world outside existed only as a vague, gray echo behind the curtains of my small, dark room. The muffled ticking of the clock was the only sound interrupting my thoughts. Tick. Tock. Tick. Tock. Each second dripped slowly by, without anything changing. Time flowed on, but I remained still, trapped in an infinite moment of silence. I often wondered why I was here. Why did I exist? No job, no money, no family, no love, nothing bound me to this place. I was alone. Completely alone. My thoughts wandered down dark paths. What if I simply wasn't here anymore? Would anything change? Probably not. The world would continue as if I had never existed. I was a ghost, drifting through the days without leaving any trace. Science says life is a product of random processes, a chaotic sequence of events that led to my existence. But is that all there is? Just randomness and chaos? Where is the meaning? Maybe the fault lay with me. Maybe I expected too much. Maybe there was no predetermined meaning. But could I come to terms with that? Could I simply accept that my life was meaningless? A sentence I once read came to mind: man is a useless creature. I didn't understand what that meant back then. Now, it made sense. We were nothing more than tiny specks in a vast, cold universe. Around me, people lived their lives, each seeming to have a purpose, a goal. But was that really so? Or were they just playing their roles, just as I played mine? And then I wondered, what if I just stopped playing my role? If I simply stepped out? The answer was as simple as it was terrifying. Nothing would change. The world would keep turning without even a moment's pause. Perhaps the meaning of life is that there is no meaning. Maybe life is only what we make of it. But if that's the case, then I have failed. I have made nothing of it. Tick. Tock. Tick. Tock. Time passed. And I still sat here, in my small, dark room, alone with my thoughts. Maybe that is the true horror of life. Not death, but the realization that it makes no difference whether you live or die. That you leave nothing behind. No traces, no memories. Nothing. I closed my eyes and let the silence wash over me. Maybe there was a way to find meaning. But not today. Today, I stayed here, in my small, dark room, alone with my thoughts. Sometimes I imagine being in another place. A place where I mattered. Where people saw me, heard me, valued me. But even that vision faded quickly. It was only an illusion, a mirage. For even if I were in another place, the question would remain the same: why? For what purpose? I recalled a story I once heard about a man stranded on a deserted island. He had lost everything and was completely alone. Yet he found a way to survive. He built a hut, found food, lived on. But was he happy? Did he find meaning? I don't know. Perhaps survival itself is a meaning. But is that enough? The clock ticked on. Each stroke was like a heartbeat, reminding me that time marched relentlessly forward. Perhaps I should stop looking for a grand meaning and focus on the small things. Reading a good book, taking a walk, feeling the sun on my skin. Yet even these small joys sometimes seemed unattainable. I often wondered how other people managed. How they navigated their daily lives, pursued their goals, realized their dreams. Had they found something I couldn't see? Or were they deceiving themselves just as I was? Sometimes I dreamed of simply disappearing, leaving everything behind and starting fresh somewhere else. But that, too, was only a dream. For wherever I went, my thoughts and doubts would follow. There was no escape from oneself. Maybe the key was not to think so much. Just to live without questioning everything. But how could that be done when the mind constantly sought answers? Answers that perhaps didn't even exist. I remembered a time when I was a child. Back then, everything seemed so simple, so clear. The world was full of wonders and possibilities. Yet, over time, that feeling faded. The wonders disappeared, and the possibilities turned into burdens. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The clock reminded me that time continued to run. Whether I found meaning or not. Maybe life was simply a puzzle that could never be solved. An endless cycle of questions without answers. I took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Perhaps there was no grand meaning, no all-encompassing truth. Maybe life was simply what it was. A blend of coincidences and choices. And perhaps it was up to me to find a small meaning within it, even if it was difficult. For today, I stayed here, in my small, dark room. Alone with my thoughts. Maybe tomorrow I would find a new approach, a new spark of hope. But for now, there was only the silence and the relentless ticking of the clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I thought of the words of Viktor Frankl, a man who had endured the hell of the Holocaust and yet found a way to find meaning in his suffering. He said, "Man can endure anyhow if he only has a why." But what if I saw no why? Was that my fault? Or was the world designed in such a way that not everyone could find a why? Sometimes I wondered if the meaning of life lay not in the big things, but in the small moments. In the fleeting moments of happiness that are so rare and yet so precious. But even these moments often seemed out of reach, as if they were only a fleeting dream. Psychology speaks of existential emptiness, a state in which people feel that their lives are meaningless. It is a state marked by loneliness and despair. But is this emptiness really something that needs to be fought? Or is it a natural part of human existence that one must learn to accept and understand? Tick, tock, tick, tock. Time passed, and I still sat here, in my small, dark room. Alone with my thoughts. Perhaps that was the true challenge of life, finding a way to continue amidst this emptiness. To create one's own meaning, even if the world around seems meaningless. Maybe the meaning of life isn't something you find, but something you create. A work that you must shape yourself, even if it's difficult and often seems hopeless. Maybe it was up to me to find that meaning, in the small things, in the fleeting moments of happiness. I opened my eyes and looked at the clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Time continued to pass, inexorably. But maybe, just maybe, there was a small spark of hope. A small ray of light in the darkness. And maybe one day, I would find the courage to follow that ray of light and find my own way. But for today, I stayed here, in my small, dark room. Alone with my thoughts.